Greetings, friends. It's Josh.
And I'm Ryan.
And we're here today on the Dead Tired Dads podcast.
We are.
And I'm excited to be here.
Josh.
Yes, Ryan.
You look different.
I look different, yes.
You have some work done.
I got a new tattoo. Funny story. So I got a new tattoo on Saturday night. It was a longer than expected session to get this new tattoo, and it hurt a lot. And so, but by the time I was done, if you don't know, like, what happens when you get a tattoo is you get stabbed over and over and over and over
repeatedly
and over again, with a needle or multiple needles, and so you're basically putting yourself through like massive trauma. Like you are traumatizing your skin in a way that is very, it's brutal on your body, like as far as like what
it is,
like what you're like what your body, how your body responds. It's very like, so anyway, like after you get a tattoo, like you've lost some blood and your body adrenaline has been pumping, and so like your blood sugar just like is gone, like so like
sense.
You start shaking and like really uncontrollably, and you like often you'll feel really cold. So it's the middle of winter, so I was cold anyway.
So you're already cold. But
anyway, so I'm shaking bad enough, like, and I'm able to control myself mostly, but like my artist is like, I'm kind of concerned about you getting home. Are you gonna be okay? And so I get in my car and I start driving down the street, and I barely got halfway home. I had barely gotten out of the parking lot really when I see blue and red lights behind me.
Oh no.
And so I'm like, oh gosh, what's wrong? And so like I pull over into this gas station, well lit, just making sure, the cop can clearly see what's going on. And as he's walking up, and he comes up and he asks for my license and insurance, and I'm reaching over and I start shaking,
yeah.
As I'm like pulling, like I'm trying to like open my glove box, and I'm like shaking. I'm like, oh gosh, this guy's gonna think I'm like stoned and like just like super nervous, and like I'm gonna have to like explain the whole thing. But he's like, do you know why I pulled you over? And I'm just like, no. Hand shaking the whole time. Yeah, no. It was very funny and but apparently I had a headlight out, which I actually did know, but did not expect to get pulled over because of it.
That's funny.
So yeah,
perfect timing.
Yeah, it was great. So he gave me. I was cited for driving with a vehicle without a malfunctioning vehicle, and had to.
Boo.
Did not get a ticket. Like, it's just a warning.
Oh, that's good then.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my funny story for the week.
I like it.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
That is pretty good.
Yep.
I have a funny story too, Josh.
You have a funny story too.
Yeah, I do.
That's exciting.
So we've mentioned before on this podcast that the three of us, Matt included, he's not here this week, but the three of us all became friends because we go to the same church.
Right.
Or used to. Matt goes to a different church now, but at the time we all three went to the same church, so that's how we became friends. So a couple days ago, last week, I got a text message from our pastor, and in the text he says, "I just listened to your most recent podcast, and boy, do you have a voice for radio or podcasting."
Nice.
Now, so he's complimenting me, right? But so that's what the text said. But for like a second or two, I had that. Like, I read it wrong, and I read it as that joke that we've all heard. So for like 2 seconds, I thought that my pastor was telling me I had a face for radio.
Nice.
But there's like this split second where I just didn't know how to respond. I was like, my pastor just told me I had a face for radio. I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, that's funny.
So, yeah.
So, like, I mean... What does that even mean, though? Like, really, like, to have I mean, I guess it means the timbre of your voice is just so
what's
pleasing
funny?
and wonderful.
So I actually texted him and said like thank you. What makes you say that? And I can't remember what he said now, but I also at the time I was texting with like a mentor of mine, And I told him this same story, and he said, he's not a gamer at all, and he said, I've actually listened to a couple of episodes, and I have to agree. And so I was like, so like two people tell me this, and so I asked him, I'm like, what makes you say that? And what he said was, I speak at a certain pace, and I enunciate.
Ah. So what they're telling you is that you need to get on me about... Because
tell Josh to enunciate.
I gotta say, I feel like I'm pretty good friends with our pastor. He didn't send me a text message telling me that I had a voice for podcast or radio.
Shots fired.
He but then again, he also did not tell me that I have a face.
He didn't tell you have a face for radio, so
I mean, that's
good.
That's a plus, I guess. But no, I didn't get complimented on my voice. You know who I'm talking to.
All right, I'll leave that to you two to deal with.
I'll work on I'll just make sure that I am more paced and that I enunciate my words better in the future. Is that what they're looking for?
That's exactly what they're looking. Do it just like that.
Just like that. The whole podcast is nothing but...
Our number of listeners will surely go up if we do that.
Hey, we'd get longer episodes out of it.
That's true. Our episodes would be longer.
Oh, man. Don't we have fun?
We do. We do have fun.
So, Ryan, have you got a game for us this week?
I do have a game for us.
So, like, the last time we did a game review, it was just me, like, talking for an hour almost.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then... Oh, I forgot. Wait a second. Before we get into that,
hold up.
There was big news that came out this
week.
Week.
There's two, so I know what you're going to share. You share yours, and then I'll share something.
Sony bought Bungie out of pure spite
pettiness,
to Microsoft.
Pettiness on every level.
Absolute just pettiness, being like, you guys bought Activision Blizzard. Well, guess what? We're gonna buy the company that came out with the only thing that made your that made your system worth buying.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Sony bought Bungie for like $4 billion.
Almost $4 billion.
Like it's not 70, but it's spite money for sure.
Hey, when I saw the headline, I truly wondered: are they going to do anything with this, or is it just pettiness?
It really, to me, it just seems like pettiness and spite. Like,
so I read an article about it, and the article seemed to indicate that it's not going to have anything to do with making exclusives. Like, they're still going to be on multi-platform. So I really can't figure that move out.
No,
but
I really feel like it's just absolute pettiness and spite. So I thought that was really funny.
We're just going to buy Microsoft's old toy, rub it in their face.
So you said that there was other news. I'm not sure I know what this is.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you would, but maybe. So it was announced today. Well, today when we're recording. Little behind the scenes magic. This is not live. I know. Be shocked. So they announced today that MLB The Show was coming to Nintendo Switch.
Oh, wow.
And is going to be cross-platform. So, like, you can play on your Switch while your buddy's playing on your Xbox. Yeah. So if you're into baseball games, MLB The Show is one. It's never been on Switch before. It's come until last year. It had only ever been on PlayStation. Last year it came to Xbox for the first time. Now it's coming this year to the Switch.
That's crazy.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Like the thing with the Switch has not been the as much as I love Nintendo and their product, the Switch has not been a bastion of sports games.
No, it's not.
They have not really been welcome.
It's not where you go to play sports games.
And so that's different and new.
It is.
The last good sports game that I played on a Nintendo system was a Madden game. It was probably the last Madden game that I played that I actually enjoyed.
What system? 64?
It was the Wii.
The Wii? I don't think I played that one.
It was 2006, the one with Sean Alexander on the cover. I still remember it. And it was so cool because they actually utilized the motion controls of the Wii in an
that is
appropriate way.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too much, but it was like, oh, this is cool. Like, so when you threw a stiff arm, like you flick your
Move the controller.
nunchuck,
That's
and
cool.
you throw a stiff arm. You pushed whoever you wanted to throw to, you pushed the button, and then you flick the Wii remote. So you selected your receiver, and then you would flick. It was really cool the way that that was the first year.
Yeah.
For the Switch, so they took advantage of the motion controls. And then after that, when they tried to come out with games with Madden games on the Switch, on the Wii after that, they tried to go overboard on the motion controls. And then they were like, in 2009, they were like, well, we're just gonna make it, or maybe it was before that. It might have been before that. We're just gonna make it less Madden-y and more like kid friendly.
That's
so
not what we want.
It was really stupid. But 2006 Madden was awesome on the Wii.
Sean Alexander.
So yeah. Anyway, so that's gaming news, and now we'll move from news to reviews. How about that?
Ooh, look at that.
Rhyming. So Ryan, you've got a game for us?
Yeah, you want me to go first?
Yeah, go first.
All right. I played a game called Earthworms.
Earthworms.
Not, I must add, Earthworm Jim.
You stole my joke.
Classic Super Nintendo. No, this game was called Earthworms. I played it on the Nintendo Switch. It's also available on Steam. It is a sort of a mystery-solving puzzle game.
Ooh, right up my alley.
Yeah, I really think you would like this. In fact, when I was playing it, it reminded me a lot of Dark, the game you reviewed a few weeks back. It reminded me a lot of Dark. So you play as this guy named Daniel White, who is a detective, and like I said, it's a mystery game where you're trying to solve this mystery of they're like these tentacle-like things that are sort of taking over and plaguing people and plants, and you're trying to figure out where these tentacles that they call earthworms came from. So that's the whole gist of the game, is like you're trying to solve this mystery. I really enjoyed this game a lot. It's not a game that would usually be my style. Like, as I was playing it, I was thinking, this is not usually a game I like. I'm not very good at puzzle games, but this one I did okay with. I also think it kind of fits right in the niche, if you will, of games that we usually talk about.
Okay.
So, like, time investment, I looked it up on How Long to Beat, one of our favorite resources. It said 4 to 6 hours. It took me closer to 8 hours to beat it.
Okay.
And that's primarily because I really tried my hardest not to look up any of the answers to any of the puzzles. Like, I really wanted to figure it out on my own. So I had to backtrack a few times. I did have to look up one thing, and after I looked at first I was like ashamed as I went to Google, but then after I looked it up, I was like, yeah, I never would have figured that out. So I'm glad I did. So yeah, it's a short game. It can be played in very short bursts. Sometimes we talk about time as in like, can I play this for only 10 or 15 minutes, or do I have to play for an hour? And you can play this one in really short bursts. It was less than $2. I think I got it for $1 and some change on the
nice.
Switch. So it's like, even if it's a terrible game, it cost me less than $2. So why not? Another thing we talk about is family friendly, and this for me is kind of in between, because there was some sort of gore and creepy sort of macabre stuff, if you will, but it wasn't overly obvious. Like, there was a couple times where my 7-year-old was in the room and he was asking, like, what's in that building, and he wasn't even realizing some of the stuff that was, because they're such small details, right. So I think it's mostly safe, but just kind of watch it. But overall, yeah, it's a fun game, and I kind of had something interesting happen to me. I finished the game, and it like recaps, because you can have different choices, and depending on your choices, you'll get different outcomes or different sort of story paths.
Okay.
So I didn't know that as I was going along. I thought there was only one way to do things, so I was sort of just doing them. And then the game like ends and it's sort of recapping everything. And then it just ends with the screen that says, you get the negative ending.
Oh, sucks for you.
And I was like, what? What did I do? So now I want to go back and try to figure out how to get the positive ending.
Get a positive ending.
So, yeah, overall fun game. I would recommend it. Like I said, if you like puzzle games, it's a great puzzle game. You got to try to figure out, like, some of the puzzles are like trying to fit, like there's an old broken down machine or like a door lock that you clearly need to power the computer so you can unlock the door. Where's the missing part? Sort of stuff like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Now you said it was under $1. Did you get it? Was it on sale or was it like?
It was under $2. It was like $1 and some change. Yeah. And you know how if you're familiar with the Switch store, it'll tell you when something's on sale. Yeah. It didn't say that it was on sale.
Okay.
It just like looked like its normal price.
Okay. So like a couple bucks,
Yeah, I actually bought it several months ago for I was getting ready to go on a road trip and I was just looking for some stuff to put on my Switch and I just grabbed it.
Sure.
And then I never got around to playing it.
Never got around to playing it. That is the life of a tired dad.
Dead tired dad life right there.
That is 100% how it goes with basically every single game that you get. Well, cool. So you've got a positive review on Earthworms.
Earthworms.
So go buy Earthworms.
Check it out. I mean, like I said.
And then you can go fishing.
It's less than $2. Yeah.
Those would also be less than $2.
So, less than $2 gives you, 6-8 hours of fun somewhere in there.
That's awesome. So that's, a good puzzle game that would be cheaper than Dark. And probably a little less disturbing.
Yeah, so I didn't play all of Dark, but you showed me quite a bit of it when I was here, and it's definitely less disturbing. Let's just say I didn't jump in my seat playing this one.
I still like Dark. It's just it's a messed up game. Anyway, cool. So Earthworms, Ryan says buy it because it's cheap and good. So I want to talk about a game that's not necessarily cheap unless you've got Xbox Game Pass.
All right.
Game Pass for the win. So Nobody Saves the World.
Nobody Saves the World.
Nobody Saves the World is the game I want to talk about. Now this is this game just came out, so we're kind of on top of things.
It's new. Okay.
It's pretty new.
Cool.
There's been a lot of buzz about it, so I want to go ahead and just come out and say it's like all the buzz about this game is totally 100% true.
Oh.
Like this game is pretty freaking awesome.
There you go.
So it's So it takes its name, Nobody Saves the World, from this idea, from the Odyssey, where, Odysseus is on the island with the Cyclops, and he tells him his name is Nobody, and then eventually he blinds the Cyclops by stabbing him in the eye, and when the Cyclops comes out and yells, help me, and his brothers come out and like, what's wrong? And he's like, nobody has blinded me. Well, who? Like nobody? Well, then you're fine. That's kind of the sense I get of where the name came from.
Yeah.
Because you're this character and your name is basically Nobody.
Nobody. Oh, okay.
So it's not that nobody is going to save the world. It's that
the character
nobody saved the world because you don't really have a name. But it's really cool. You start off as just this one character, and you find a magic wand, and then you can change into all these other characters as you progress the story, and as you progress and level up each character, you unlock other characters that you can then transform into. But you have to level up each character, and in order to level up, you have to accomplish different tasks, and it's basically a dungeon diving game. Mm-hmm. So it's just loads and loads of dungeons filled with loads and loads of enemies, and you have to figure out the best way to fight them, based on, the skills that you've got with the characters that you've unlocked. And, you have to level up to certain levels in order to, be strong enough to beat certain dungeons, and you're just trying to save the kingdom. So it's a really, really fun game. I looked it up on how long to beat, and it's about 13 and a half hours or so.
It's not bad. That's pretty good.
Not too bad. At least that's for just kind of rushing through it.
Yeah.
closer to 20 hours if you're, doing the main story and a few extra things. And I didn't look at the completionist, but so yeah, Nobody Saves the World is a fun game. It's very creative in the way that it kind of approaches things. It's not so it's kind of an RPG type thing. Obviously not. We talked about this a little bit a couple weeks ago, I guess. Talking about how it's not like an RPG in the same way that Final Fantasy is.
Oh,
an RPG.
right.
But you've got characters. Different characters that you're leveling up as you go along.
Yeah.
And you collect different skills and things like that, and you have to put them on different ways. So it's a really fun game so it's not tons of time investment, like I said, but you can sit down for an hour or so or less, if you really want to, and just play through one dungeon and then you're and be good. It's hard. It is hard to stop. Though after you say that one of the big downsides of it is that it is an Xbox and PC exclusive.
Okay.
So you have to have that one of those things to be able to play it. But it does require a control. Well, it doesn't require. It's recommended that you have a controller.
Oh, so if you're playing on PC.
So if you're playing on PC, if you don't have a controller that's compatible with your PC games, it's a little bit more difficult to do. And I would agree wholeheartedly. Like I haven't played using my mouse and keyboard, but I would think that just based on the things that you do, I would think that it would be much more difficult if you were trying to play it with those controls as opposed to with a controller. So. So yeah, family friendly for the most part. It's kind of the same thing as you were saying. There's some really kind of messed up, kind of creepy elements to it that are but overall, it's the aesthetic is kind of cartoony. Yeah. So I kind of would think of it like a Rick and Morty.
Oh, okay.
Type thing. Right. There's language in it, but there's nothing that's said. So it's all script. Yeah. So if your kids can't read.
Then you're fine.
You're fine. But the thing is, the way that it's animated just kind of reminds me of that Rick and Morty kind of style, where it's kind of like, this is kind of gross, but it's not there's nothing outrightly. So and so there's some disturbing kind of ways that things are presented, but not necessarily something that's I don't know. It's hard to describe.
I kind of feel like that. We call it family friendliness or gore or violence or whatever you want to call it. I feel like that one's a little bit more subjective, depending on you have to know your kids.
It depends on your kids for sure, and that's always a thing. And obviously there are some games that we've reviewed that we've been absolutely not. Your kids should not see this. Some of those things, I shouldn't see this. Yeah. Rated M for mature. I get it. But I think Nobody Saves the World is T. T for teen. And overall, just a solid game, lots of fun. That was something else. There's something really cool with the dungeons. So there are some dungeons mini dungeon type things so there's some dungeons that you do that kind of progress the story, and other dungeons that you do that are just there for you to kind of level up, basically. And so with those that you kind of can just go through whenever, they change every time you go back into them.
Oh, that's cool.
It's never the same, it's kind of got the same elements, so you might recognize certain pieces of it,
right?
But the dungeon itself is different every single time.
That is pretty cool.
Which I thought was a really interesting tweak in the game. And so yeah, and yeah, I have not beaten it yet, but I've played probably 5 hours or so into it. And it was enough for me to go, this game's just flipping awesome. And $25 if you're gonna. So if you are gonna buy it, it's $25 on Steam. So there's that. But for $25, I think that's totally worth it. But again, if you have Game Pass,
Yeah.
and you've got an Xbox, or if you're playing on PC anyway, and you've got Game Pass, then you get it for free. It comes with Game Pass. So, excellent game. I highly recommend it.
So I thought of something while you were talking, but I didn't want to cut you off. You're talking about, it has sort of RPG role-playing game, RPG elements, but it's not like the typical RPG. I was thinking about something a couple weeks ago. It was probably after you and I talked on an episode about RPGs. I got home and I was thinking, aren't all video games role-playing games? Because you're always playing, like, that's what you're doing. Okay,
Yeah.
even if you're playing Madden, you're role-playing that you're the coach or the quarterback. I mean, sort of. See, I feel like most of the time, though, like with an RPG, when you think of an RPG, like you essentially are one character. But I guess that's not true, like, because you've got those RPGs where you're like in a party and you switch out between the characters in your party. So I don't know. I mean, there are these sort of defined things that, as gamers, if we say RPG,
Everyone just
we all know what those are. But I was just like sort of thinking, like, aren't all video games role-playing games?
Huh.
Even if you're playing Call of Duty, you're playing the role of a soldier.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I think it goes back to more the traditional, definition, or the traditional origins of RPG.
Probably so.
And in that, we were playing Dungeons and Dragons, and so now like there's this game that takes those elements from Dungeons and Dragons and puts it into a video game.
Yeah.
Where you've got a character that you level up and you add armor to, and you do all of you got all of these different things that you kind of do. So yeah, I don't know. So I want to clarify, like it's definitely so Nobody Saves the World is definitely not an RPG. I wouldn't classify it as one. But it's just got those like elements of leveling up and adding different powers, to kind of shuffling out, certain, kind of like Pokemon, or what I know of Pokemon. Like there are certain, like if you've got a water Pokemon, it's good versus a fire.
Oh, right.
Whatever it
Yeah.
is, but like, so there's some things of that, but it's like this, you have to have it rather than it being, red versus blue. It's like you have to have a green thing to beat a green thing.
Oh, I see.
Like you have to have a sharp thing. It's sharp. Green is sharp, so it has to be a sharp thing to beat a something that has sharp armor.
Yeah.
So anyway, Nobody Saves the World. Excellent game. It deserves all the hype that it's getting. $25 on Steam if you don't have Game Pass. And I would say it's worth $25, and it's worth your time. So,
which is just crazy if you think about it, because again, Game Pass is what, $15 a month?
Yeah.
So, that
and you can
get that game plus all the other games on there. I mean, that's just
an absolutely excellent.
Still
game.
blows my mind.
It really should. It's an insane, like, Microsoft is kind of crazy. They're spending billions of dollars and giving the games away for $15 a month. So, anything else for the good of the whole, Ryan?
Well, I did think of some other news.
More news.
Sort of relates to last week, what we were talking about.
Okay.
So it was announced today.
Oh, yeah.
Matt texted us earlier today and announced that Blizzard has announced that I didn't know if he said when, but soon, upcoming in World of Warcraft, Alliance and Horde characters will be able to run raids together. If you're a World of Warcraft player or familiar with it, you understand everything I just said, and it's perfectly clear to you. If you're not, basically what that means is there's two factions. There's the Alliance, the Horde. For at least 15 years, if not longer now, if you played as one, you could not play with the other. You could create multiple characters, but if you were one and your buddy was the other, you could not team up and do stuff together.
Which seems stupid, but
now soon you will be able to.
Well, that's good. That's good for World of Warcraft. players. I'm sure that was a point of contention with many of them. I would think so anyway.
I think it's really cool. In fact,
awesome.
in the group text, I even made the comment that it is almost tempting enough to have me come back. But,
do you remember that there was actually a World of Warcraft movie that they made?
Yeah, I really liked it actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't see it, but
I
it's
really
one of
liked
those.
it.
That's one of those movies that I feel like just gets forgotten, like the Driver movie that came out.
My father-in-law took me to see it because he's the one who introduced me to World of Warcraft, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I did.
Well, good, cool.
There you go.
That's very good. So, well, that's going to do it for this episode of Dead Tired Dads. We talked about Earthworms and Nobody Saving the World. And those were both excellent games, according to us. So, if you like this podcast, you can click like or subscribe, I guess is what it is on the podcast. But you can also like us on Facebook.
Yes.
And you can like us on YouTube for the few videos that are on there, that have been uploaded, like 4 years ago. Oh, that's another thing. Dead Tired Dads is actually 4 years old this week.
Boom.
So, Matt and I started the YouTube channel 4 years ago.
There you go. How about that?
And so you can go back and kind of relive some of our early days. That first little bit didn't, but this has been a good revitalization of the brand. And so we've got a sticker contest that's going to be coming out soon, where you can get a Dead Tired Dad sticker, which is awesome.
They are pretty cool.
It's very cool.
They are really neat.
And so that'll be on Facebook, and we'll get that around. And we might do a second one. We might do two. Why don't we do two?
We should.
We'll
Why
do
not?
two. We'll do one on Facebook and one on Twitter.
Boom.
So maybe you can win 2 stickers.
Ooh.
If you're lucky enough to get to have your name drawn in both. So yeah, but you can follow us on Twitter, on Facebook. You can like us. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the podcast. Do all the things.
Do all the things like we always say.
Like we always say. New episodes every Friday. Tune in. Listen. You can subscribe. If you subscribe to the podcast, it should download automatically, and you can have it on your phone.
How about that?
When you wake up. So. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate it. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode of the Dead Tired Dads podcast.
Bye.